ATM like that? Were you able to feel something in particular or nothing in particular, or you don't know what you feel? There's too many things going into the laboratory. Yeah. A lot of peripheral awareness. Mm-hmm. Yes, Trish. You felt your sternum moving underneath your head when you walked? Is that something new? Like an African dancer? Okay. No, now she's got her head down. Okay, no, that was too big a leap. Sorry, yeah. Oh, did you? Did you do it? See how psychic I am? I know everything about you. African dancing, fell out of a tree. Stay tuned for the next thing that's going to occur to me. No, no, we're done. We're done. Okay, good. You did do African dancing a long time ago. Anything else? Glenn?
I just noticed.
Oh, wait, just 1 second. Oh.
I'll come back. Sorry. I just noticed that before I started using the pelvis, the difficulty was, I realized the difficulties were diagonal. Like I had difficulty with this, and then after a while I realized I also had difficulty with this side of the pelvis. So when this started to clear up, this started to clear up.
Right.
So,
was that interesting?
It was interesting, yeah.
Yeah. So remember, and I want to put this in shorthand today. Yesterday I made a big, long, drawn out thing about it. So, but, you know, part of what I was saying in the interaction with Martina yesterday was that, you know, when all of her attention was going on one part, right? And I said, you can't solve it like that. So whatever's troubling you in an ATM, I think I made the point, but I mean, it almost bears repeating every time you start an ATM, because that thing is so built into us, right, to get caught in one place. So that's great. That's what we're up to, is that if you look around at enough other places, sooner or later you're going to stumble on something so interesting that's going to help the problem you're trying to solve. You know, because then it's, you know, how do I shift my weight such that that shoulder is like that and this shoulder is like this, and that ankle's like that, and this, you know, the pattern, again, the pattern. So if we're trying to understand our pattern, which is also dynamically changing, so it's a little bit tricky like that. It's a bit Alice in Wonderland like that in a training. You know, you're small, then you're tall, then you're, you know, whatever, all the time changing. But within that, there's certain kinds of self-knowledge you can have and discover. So that's a perfect example. And anything else? Yeah. Okay. Everybody's got something. Yeah.
Oh, I think out of all the ATMs we've done, somehow that for me just really made my hips available. So they felt like they were just swaying massively right and left. So I don't know, interesting.
Out of everything we've done, that made your hip sway more, or something in the pelvis. Okay.
I actually felt I was all over the place. Like I felt like I'm puzzled, and
you were all over the place.
Like one time I was here, and then all of a sudden I felt something there, and then so I was like, and I felt really uncoordinated as well. Like, so when you said you need, like, so I was kind of following your instructions, but it was just all over the place, like.
So maybe you need a little more time to figure it out.
Yeah. But at the end I worked it out. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, see, that can be an example. You know, I don't actually have an image right at the moment of what you were doing, but I guess I didn't turn to the right and stand on my right leg enough when I was watching the group. I got too much to the left, but at any rate, but that can be an example because you were here and then you were here and then you were here. So at least your attention was moving and you were experimenting, and then you needed a little bit longer to, you know, make the synthesis, make the integration. Whereas, again, with somebody else who thought they were doing it right away, I mean, they maybe aren't going to learn as much in the end.
Yeah,
They maybe solve the problem too quickly and they won't find out certain details. So we don't, in terms of evaluating our learning, see, this could be great news.
yeah, and I actually felt that I wanted to do more because
Yeah,
when you
you're
asked
on the
rest,
brink.
so you said rest, and I felt no, I haven't got it yet.
Yeah.
And then, but I had to rest.
No, you can, I mean, well, I won't yell at you if you keep going.
Okay.
Will I yell at her? No, but I mean, I'm being conservative because there's some necks that I'm kind of coddling here. But if your neck can take, it's not your neck anyway, it's your back, it's your whole self. But I mean, I'm kind of giving you a small dose because we'll go on with it. He starts it in Amherst. I didn't remember this. I haven't taught this series in a while. And if you ever want to compare what we did just now to what he actually does in Amherst, he doesn't do it that way, what I did. He starts you with your head hanging backward for 45 minutes. Going right, left, I don't know, whatever. I just said, I don't care, Moshe, I'm not doing it. So, but, I mean, if you study Amherst, what we're doing these first 8 days is based on Amherst. I changed the order of, head through the gap comes after head rolls. I changed the order of certain things because otherwise, the first hour of my first day with you, your head would be hanging backward for 45 minutes, and I didn't feel that was the way to bond with the group. So I changed it. But that's not a good way to start your segment, right? Because you have to keep in mind when you look at the Amherst training, first of all, the average age in the room was 30, early 30s. There were people 20, there were people 40, but most people were early 30s, so that, or late 20s, so that was the average age. Second, a lot of people had a lot of drugs, so that would, no, joking. I don't know why I'm getting into this drug thing lately, all right. But maybe missed opportunities or something. So, no, but young hippies, that's the thing I'm saying. So a lot of young hippies. And then the other thing is we were on the floor for 9 weeks straight. And even more than you, we didn't get up and talk. We didn't have group exercises. We didn't have group problem solving. So the only time we interacted was at night with each other. And then we talked a lot with each other. But because we were on first 2 years, we were a lot of us were staying on campus. It was residential. So at any rate, we were plastered to the floor for 9 weeks. Moshe talking 40 pages in the morning because we've done the transcripts, and 40 pages at night in the afternoon. And we were moving, and he'd talk, and we'd be moving. And so this was week 6 or 7 now, where we've already been doing stuff for 6 or 7 weeks straight. So theoretically, no matter what he would ask us to do, we'd have really a lot available to us after 6 weeks straight, and a lot of sensitivity. Although when you watch the tapes, you got to wonder sometimes. But yeah, so this is based on Amherst, and I kind of put together a version that's similar to how we sometimes did it in workshops with the public. But he would give this lesson to the public in the workshops. But again, you know, it would be on day 3, and they'd done other things. And that, for me, that was a very interesting, there was a workshop he gave in San Francisco, Quest workshop. I think a lot of these things are available through Feldenkrais Resources. And it's kind of interesting to study the progression in a workshop of what he teaches and then what he teaches, and then work your way backward and see why on lesson number 10 can you do all these amazing things. because maybe the lessons that came before have somehow prepared it. So we'll see. I don't know whether Head Through the Gap prepared you for this or not, but it's interesting to even wonder if there's any similarities. Well, one obvious similarity is that in both lessons, a brain, a pelvis, and a head are involved. So, I don't know, we'll see. But, yeah, anyway, so more time, more time. And then that's interesting, you know, because once you solve it, Moshe said, I love this thing he said to us in Amherst. I practically have it memorized now between watching it and then proofreading it and then God knows what, but because I was involved in the project of getting the transcripts so that future generations, you know, would have the transcripts to look at. And we're only, I think we only have, it's only taken us 20 years to do it, and we have 9 more days or 8 more days or something. And Jenny keeps writing saying, we're getting there, we're almost there. So, but
we don't often get to see the people face to face who work on preserving the materials and transcribing and translating and that sort of thing. So thank you for all your work.
not much. 5,643 hours is nothing. No, just proofreading now. But thank you, Jenny. That's really nice. I'm very sheepish that it's taken 20 years. The real person to thank is the Bonnie Humiston, who transcribed it and formatted it brilliantly. I mean, when I look at her formatting, because she's got the instruction is in bold, and can I have some water? And then the subset of the instruction is A, B, C, kind of the way. The formatting is like the way she did that so that you can look at it and see what's the lesson, what's Moshe on a rant, when is he coming back to the lesson, is brilliant. And you only have to see, maybe we talk later about other examples of things to realize, yeah? Okay, thanks, Ruth. So, but there's this part in Amherst where he says, he's referring to Pavlov, and he says, you know, Pavlov, you ring the bell. That was Moshe's time. I mean, we have to go, Pavlov, that name strikes a bell somewhere, but kind of more the science of Moshe's time. So conditioned reflex, unconditioned reflex, you'll find it he talks about it in Body and Mature Behavior. And the idea is you ring the bell, and then you couple that with a bowl of food, and the dog hears the bell, he comes, he expects the food, and then those two things get linked, and then the way associations are linked. And then he says, you know, of course, and then the theory is that then after a while, you only have to ring the bell and the dog salivates, right? But then he uses the metaphor, and he says, you know, once you've got the learning, it's, you know, once you've achieved the goal, the learning stops. And you can ring the bell till donkey's ears and nothing doing, because it's finished. It's finished. You got the goal. Good. It's over. So we're trying to, you know, we're purposely delaying the gratification sometimes of the learning. And it's important to know that, again, when you're teaching, because you know, I mean, I've had this experience, and I'm assuming other teachers have had this experience. You know that the lesson is going to be ending up with this great finale, let's say, a standalone ATM, beginning, middle, and end. But now you're just in this middle part exploring, and in the back of your mind, you want the class to like it, and you're thinking, oh, if they only knew that in 30 minutes they get to put their foot on top of their head, they'd be so happy. Or, you know, we jump ahead. So what is this thing of staying in making the process alive and vital and being there at every moment for us as teachers? And then knowing that we're also going someplace interesting, but not be, yeah, so good. Thank you. I mean, it's different, right? But that's the kind of thing that makes people stay up all night when they're studying something, and they're so close to having something come together, and they're curious, and they're, yeah. All right. We had a couple other hands up, and then we'll go on.
I had difficulties to shift the weight to the opposite side.
Yeah. Okay.
And I found it much easier to have it on the same side.
Yep. Well, that's what you do.
So you stay with that, or
We'll see. We'll see.
Thank you.
We'll see what happens.
I was really petrified when you said to put
Petrified?
the head, yeah, to put the head backwards,
Yeah.
because I only learned really last year in one of the Feldenkrais segments that I could do it because of some neck injury. I used to look up like this and support my head. And last year I learned I actually can put my head like that. So when you started with the rolling, you know, I did the same as done yesterday, just really focused on that negative thing, I can't do it. And then I was thinking of what you said, and I didn't focus on that. And I just played around, and suddenly I could feel, oh, if I move my pelvis, it actually happens. And yeah, I'm not petrified anymore. So thanks to yesterday, I think I didn't get stuck. And I think it was good that we have done this head through the gap, because it made, like, me personally aware of my pelvis, which helped me now to break that cycle of fixing my thoughts on my neck. So I think that was good.
You're having a good couple days.
Yes.
Yeah. The only, you know, of course, the challenge is, you know, that there's a part that doesn't want to give up one's negativity. So you keep working with it. But you see, it can bring something pretty interesting, right? I mean, it's just, we don't want to give up anything. That's why I was joking the other day. You know, I want to improve as long as you don't ask me to change. But that's great. That's great. That's the experiment.
I've actually written this as my mantra into my phone.
The what?
I've put it as my mantra into the phone.
Yeah. What? How did you put it?
I want improvement, but want nothing to change. And that hits me over the head when I was, every time I look at it.
Yeah. I don't know if I made that up or I stole it from something, but anyway. Yeah, no, and I mean, you know, that's it every time. And it goes into life. Take it into life and see, you know, when is it that you've made up your mind about something or someone or some situation, and, you know, and you've got a big no going on, or a big, you know, and then just the moment you question it. Somebody told me well, all right, I'll tell you a story about that maybe later. But thank you so much, and good, because it's going to ripple out into a million interesting places for you. So I'm happy for you. And it was your experiment, because you're the one that decided to try it, you know? Yeah.
I think maybe that's similar to cognitive behavior therapy in some way. But what I was meaning to say, this morning I walked with Janie.
It's much too small of a description for the extraordinarily large thing she's talking about. No,
it is.
Oh,
it is.
God.
It's just a resemblance. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Did you want to say something?
I did.
What was it?
I'm sorry. That what I enjoyed in this exercise, after a comment from Janie this morning, was that she sort of said, "Oh, it's so much going on through our core, like with digestion and breathing, that I wasn't conscious of before.
Who said that?
Janie. We talked. Janie.
Jenny or Janie?
Janie. Sorry.
Oh, Janie. Okay.
Janie.
Uh-huh.
And just being aware that maybe that feels quite vague through the organ parts, and bringing that into awareness is quite a new area, but really powerful. Yeah. But moving that around is so, for me personally, quite hard to let go around that area.
Okay. So maybe we go on with some FI now. But anyway, so we're cooking. We're cooking in the head rolls, and later we'll add some more spice. We'll bring it up to a boil or whatever. Let it simmer. Let's take I'm just trying to decide whose shoulder I want. We'll take your shoulder if you want. You want your shoulder taken? Okay. So let's have, just lift one arm. Oh, you're okay. You're a good person to take. Lift the other arm. Okay. And if you wanted to take your arm behind in a circle. Okay. Now, I don't know, does she need to face you and do that? Like, I don't know how you do. This is Sarah. Everybody knows Sarah? Okay. Where do you live, Sarah?
Sydney.
Oh, okay. Sydney. Okay, go ahead. Do it again. All right. So you feel easy and free and everything, or is there anything that you feel could be improved, or you don't know?
This part feels free, and when I get there,
Doesn't.
less free.
Okay. So this is a little bit technical, but I'm going to do it because so to help you understand something. So the way her arm is sitting in the joint is just a tiny bit like this. I'm exaggerating so you can see it, just a tiny bit. Her joint is here, right? And her arm is sitting a little bit like this. So when she would take her arm back, the arm would, if you have the joint where her neutral is, the arm's going to kind of bump into the joint at some point. And so by doing this is the experiment. I'm kind of taking a chance because I'm telling you what's going to happen before it happens. And if it doesn't happen, okay, it doesn't happen. But so because what we're doing when we do the circle of the arm, the circle of the shoulder around the arm, circle of the arm relative to the shoulder, is we're changing the neutral of how the arm sits in the joint to something improved, and therefore it influences the ability to take the arm behind. It influences a lot of stuff, okay? But not everybody needs, so when you're doing FI, we're building up a little sequence, and the point I want to make is we're going to go on with the proximal distal and give you another chance to do the whole circle and practice it. But not when you're giving somebody an FI and you have this idea, let's say this is going to be about counter twisting and taking the arm back and twisting. That's kind of what we're up to, is kind of where we're going. But not everybody will need this variation. So how do you know? How do you know whether somebody needs it or not? And I might do another variation with her that might be good for her that I'm stealing from the elbow presentation yesterday that I liked. So those felt nice, and we did it. 2 people worked on me. It was great. But anyway, all right. So see, I mean, Sarah's not like this, but you see, if I were here, I'm just exaggerating. Let's say I was like this, and I want to take my arm back. This bone is sitting in the joint in such a place that it's going to get caught. Now, the great thing about circles, and we have a lot of circles in Feldenkrais. The head rolling circles are some of the most complicated one. Pelvic circles. We started the segment with the hip and shoulder clocks. The great thing about circles is that it means that you as a practitioner don't, especially in the beginning, don't have to know everything about exactly where the arm is and where the joint is and what it should be and how this muscle and the agonist and the antagonist and the circle will take care of it. The circle will bring about the improvement through their nervous system. And they might not end up in a perfect place because we're not trying to get perfect, but they'll end up in an improved place. Yeah? It's so much easier than what you do. You have to figure out, tell the person, do this, now do this, and then fire this muscle, and I don't know, whatever. We're just, yeah. You know, I mean, people come to me and they say, well, I'm stabilizing my this, and then so that this can fire, and then I was like, just like, oh my God, you know. It's a lot of work. All right, we just do some circles, and the person gets up and goes, wow, that's fantastic. Take it easy. All right, come. Which arm would you like me to experiment with? That one. Okay. So lie on the right side. Let's get her some towels. I'm simply gonna. I'm not gonna take as long as I did yesterday, but I'm just gonna let you see it one more time, and then you'll go do it again with each other. I'm adding a little bit of. I love this. Wow. Ruth, Lisa, do you want to also help Sarah?
Where are the towels?
She must have been someone with a lot of servants in her past life, because you can see it was like, oh, finally, I'm back where I belong. Okay, this is just a little bit too high, Sarah. So let's see. Okay. So the first thing I'm even when so if the person's lying like this and you want to put their arm along the side, elbow, take them so that you're supporting, even in this movement, I have my hand on her shoulder, around the shoulder. I'm supporting her clearly, just even in this transition. Now, so then I feel with Sarah, it's a tendency. Her neutral is to have the shoulder blade a little bit back. That's her neutral so far. And just take a moment to feel her structure. Also be aware of her rhythm of her breathing. And when you work with people, I've been using this metaphor lately about, being an intelligent animal. because I'm entering her field, and in a kind of instinctive part of myself, I'm feeling that she has a certain rhythm, and it's making me go really slow. Somebody else, I might go a little faster, feeling this shoulder blade, but she's influencing me. I'm feeling the rhythm of her breathing. I'm just feeling her. And so there's this, it's called pacing, you know, that we want to get synced with the person we're working with. You'll see, and of course you work with different people in the room, everybody's different. Their inner rhythm is different. The rhythm of their breathing is different. The rhythm of how their thinking is different. And how to, you know, how to allow that to come in. And if you go fast and you go, okay, now I'm going to do the thing, and it's here, you see, we're not, I mean, then I'm like a car mechanic trying to fix her shoulder. You see, you felt the difference, right? So, well, she felt the difference. So, I had a car mechanic work on me once. Actually, very famous Feldenkrais person, very well respected, but I would never let that person touch me again. He touched me like a car mechanic. And I thought I was a human being, but what did I know, you know? Okay. Because they were very mechanical, and I didn't like it. Okay. So this is actually quite free. Her arm is really quite, I can go this way, here, bring my pelvis into it. So it's the shoulder that's not as free. Oh, actually, I forgot my test movements here. Sorry. It's already going to be better, though, so to say, test movement. But all right, so that's if I take her shoulder back. That's what that feels like. It's already a tiny bit better just from what I've done, but we'll see, something in here that might change. Here I have actually all three joints in my hand. I'm supporting her wrist, her elbow, and I have her humerus, the head of her humerus. Therefore, I have her shoulder in my hand. So let's do now let's do the shoulder relative to that is not what she does. She takes the shoulder blade back, not forward, but I'm not going to force her to go forward, but it's much more back than it is forward. And then downward, upward, and then in a circle around, I'm trying to fix this. So Moshe actually used this kind of thing a lot for frozen shoulders, because the association of when you fix the distal and you move the proximal, you don't have the same association. The association has to do with moving the arm. And as the elbow people, as V period told us, I can see it. Say your name again. Vishan. Call you what? I can't even hear what she's saying. VB? VB? Yeah, VB. Thank you very much. Have mercy on me. No, I'll look at it later. But as VB was saying yesterday, that she kept saying, you know, here's the proximal muscles, here's the distal, you know, and this is where the same muscles, but from the proximal end, from the distal end, right? So if the arm and the shoulder have all these muscles connecting them, but I'm not, so I'm actually moving her arm, but in terms of the musculature, but that's not what the brain associates as moving her arm. You see? I don't know if you do see. It's kind of tricky. Her brain certainly doesn't think she's moving her arm right now. But you take somebody with certain kind of pain, you go like this, they go, that's where the pain is, that's where the pain, there. But you do this, no pain. All right, now this backward and this forward. This back, the shoulder forward, the arm back. Shoulder back, the arm forward. The shoulder down, the arm upward. The arm downward, shoulder upward. And in an opposite direction. Now I really have to move my pelvis. So, it worked. But, and I don't know what I'm doing because I don't know which muscles or what I stabilized or what I activated, or I just did the circle thing, you know. But what I see is that when I did it before, it was as if the humerus was kind of pushed. There was something around here that was working a lot, and this was pushed up into the joint. And now there's this whole possibility of this being freer here. Oh, yeah. Okay. I think that's good enough for now. Well, there is one other thing I did steal from the, just going to put it in while it's in my mind. That, just, I don't know if it goes in this practice or not, but so what we found out yesterday was that we had a movement like this, didn't we? That the ulna and the radius can move relative to each other, which is because there's two bones. So this is also just a little bit about, this is going to also influence the neutral of how the humerus sits in the joint, right? And again, I can be, I'm just trying to calm you guys down from feeling like you have to know certain things. I want you just to try it and see what happens. But again, this is something we do all the time in Feldenkrais. We kind of go with what the person wants to do, their tendency, and come back home. With and come back home. See, for me to take her this way would be forcing something on her because she really likes to do that. She really likes to go like that. But the coming back home for her, or letting go of her tendency, is going that way. If that makes sense to you, right? Okay, and then here, now it's more integrated all the way through, isn't it? You feel? All right. Good. Thank you very much. Go do it with each other. Go play, right? So this time, the first movement will be, you give whatever shoulder today, okay? It's nice to give your good shoulder, but if you want to move on to that other one, okay. But, so A is just to see, you know, how their arm is on their side, take the arm back, and then fix the shoulder, move the arm, fix the arm, move the shoulder. And you can also put in the movement of around the elbow joint. Okay. Now all right, we won't come back to the test, but if you take the arm in a circle,